Now or never. Uh-oh. Now, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 96th WarsawJS Meetup. Give us a hand. 96, and that's not all. That's not all. This is the 96th Meetup, and I have a fascination with numbers. It's also the 8th anniversary of WarsawJS. Yeah. Luckily, I had to pry for some information. I found this out yesterday. I'm very, very happy to be here. My name is Barry Salone, and that means I've been involved with this organization for about, I think this makes it my third anniversary also, being together with you guys here. Yeah. Thanks. I started as an entertainer, and somehow it turned out that, well, here I am. I'm the master of ceremonies, Barry Salone. There I am. By the way, you were listening earlier to some music from Radio IT, and we really need your support because we're going from a radio podcast to a video podcast. So look us up on Facebook at Radio IT, and we'll promise not to disappoint you. WarsawJS Meetup organizing team involves this man with the fantastic capeluche over there. Fiocentara, give him a hand. Gabriela, are you here? Gabi? Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, okay. Gabriela Chuha, she's not here, but give her a hand also. She helps to make this all possible. And Maciej Makniewski, we love you also. Fantastic. Louisa Haas, my cohort over here in crime. She also works with me at Radio IT, and we collaborate a lot. She's our technical team, and she's really the leader of that. And we also have some volunteers, including Jacek Głowacz, Konrad Dzikoński, and Grzegorz Markowski. I saw him here somewhere. Is that you, sir? Give them a hand too, because without volunteers, this just won't happen. So if anyone here is interested in volunteering to help us to pull this thing together, we welcome your help and your participation. What is WarsawJS? I'm going to read this verbatim. WarsawJS exists to support both professional and novice software developers within the IT community. We intend to accelerate the process of education by sharing our knowledge and experience. Now, I just want to say that's the thing that attracted me to this. I know I say this every time. Maybe it's your first time here. The fact that people with such knowledge and skill would actually offer their information and share it is the thing that I thought made this thing okay. And I haven't been disappointed yet. Here's an opportunity to not only get information for free in order to help to propel you forward in your career, help educate you, and save you a lot of money and time at the same time, and also to network and get to know people who've been working for many, many years in the industry. So I just think it's a great thing, and I'm really, really happy to be here. Our mission statement basically has to do with this. This is our these are the rules, okay? We appreciate it. This is the Berlin Code of Contact. If we treat each other with respect, it's not difficult to do. It means that if you don't like this man's sneakers, you just say something nice. If someone is of a different, we're talking also about race, creed, religion, gender, sex, all of those things are included. I have so far not had any bad experiences in this group. However, we need you to know that anyone who does not respect these rules and either abuses someone physically or verbally will be evicted. And I promise you that. So let's just be nice to each other and kind. I think the world needs more of that. Of course, this is all about talks. Why is pizza and beer in second place? Everyone's laughing. Okay, Lightning talks. Lightning talks mean that we're going to be also, in addition to our speakers here, we'll be inviting certain people to come up, if you would like, to give a 5-minute talk. And we mean seriously 5 minutes. And by doing so, you can earn a free JetBrains license, a 100% JetBrains license for free. Is that correct, 100%? Okay. For how long? For 1 year. See, it doesn't say that. 1 year JetBrains license for free. So we'll be inviting a few of you if you have something interesting to present and you have the nerve, come on up here and give us a speech. a speech. And then after that, we're going to have, because it's the 8th anniversary, an after party. So far, we have over 6,000 members, which is also astonishing. I think it's not so bad. Since this is the 97th, let's say, meetup, just 3 more meetings until the 100th meetup. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully living long enough to share that all with you as well. Look us up on WarsawJS.com. And our live stream, by the way, you can find on YouTube at WarsawJS. Yes, so this is a live stream. Hello, audience at home. And I know this is a lot of talking. Now, our sponsors, without whom nothing is possible. So we need to hear your enthusiasm for this. We have CallStack, start clapping, Daft Code, Evolution, Fresha, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and Xfang. These are our main sponsors today, and we really appreciate, of course, their support and their reliable support and keeping us comfortable and keeping this going. And again, if you want to get a 100% discount for a JetBrains license for 1 year, give a lightning talk. Having said that, finally, oh, by the way, 8th anniversary. 8 means success and prosperity. Did you know that? Yeah, I looked it up. Overcoming adversity, success, and prosperity. So this is going to be a very good year for everyone. That's what I read somewhere on Google. Okay. Our first speaker will be Kuba Rozkwitalski, and he's going to explain why startups should start as a monolith. Does anyone know the answer to that? Why? You know why. Please welcome Kuba to the stage. Come on, Kuba. Why startups should start as a monolith. Welcome.
Thank you. And I guess I'm waiting for the slides, but I'm already nervous because there are like big shoes to fill in terms of like presentation skills. So give me a little bit of slack here. Yeah, so hi, I'm Kuba. I'm right now Director of Engineering at ClickUp, and I was approached by Piotr to kind of give a talk. This will not be like a coding talk. It will be somehow technical talk, more like sharing talk. And I'm very grateful for that, especially that this is like kind of this big occasion. So let's go. Did I press?
25 minutes.
Oh, okay, awesome. So a little bit about me. I'm actually really keen to see this space because I've spent a bunch of time at Google back in the south in Krakow a few years back. So this is great to see this being built into such a community. I know that the Google office here is like huge. Back there, I started as a developer, came through the kind of tech lead manager path. After a good few years, actually, I realized I got my dates wrong. I was like 10 years at Google, and then I moved to Spring, which was a New York startup that was creating a marketplace for fashion. Previously at Google, I was working on Google Shopping, so it was kind of sticking to the same domain, but I've changed to like very different size of a company, different pace, different like processes, approaches, and I really like that. The kind of the startup thing was really interesting, especially with the product that was kind of already gaining traction. Spring was acquired by ShopRunner like not long after I joined, and I've spent another couple of years there. We have built a site, engineering site in Poland of like 30 people there, and this was also a kind of very interesting experience. We are continuing to build solutions for like retail. All of that was for like US market. both of those companies were like roughly 100 to 200 people size. Showrunner was ultimately acquired by FedEx, so this became like 200,000 company out of a sudden. This was like no longer a startup, so that's why I ultimately decided to leave Showrunner, and I joined ClickUp. In between these experiences, I've actually spent some time trying my own like startup, and I failed a few times. I don't want to spend time on those failures, but I do hope that kind of connecting all of those dots can help with having like some lessons, especially now based on like ClickUp, which is I think a fairly successful startup. So yeah, this is also about me. Like in the free time, climbing. I just wanted to kind of pitch you one picture. If any of you do not believe in like global warming, like this nice hut where I was like 2 months ago just kind of collapsed to the ground because the rocks that it was attached to kind of unfroze, and this is like almost at 4,000 meters. So this is very real. The other picture, like there is a hut here that 100 years ago was at the level of the glacier. So like we lost 100 meters of a glacier over that year. So I'm just kind of plugging this as just a fact that I think should all care about. I do know that like Google cares about that a lot. Okay, moving on. So ClickUp's mission is to save people time by making the world more productive. So there was this word like Jira used. ClickUp is being considered a competitor to Jira, which is true, but the mission is actually much bigger. Like we want to be replacing the many tools that people use and kind of one app to rule them all is the other motto. And this was like a short but like fairly successful journey. I only joined it recently, so I don't feel bad about like praising the company for like how successful it actually was. It was just founded like 5 years ago and raised like 400 million Series C November last year. So it was like a short, very successful journey, and I basically do want to share a few observations that I have from like half a year there and how it compares to like the other startups that I have seen. So a few core values the ClickUp has, like with this one being the primary one, and kind of from there follows I think the approach to software engineering that we have at startup, which I want to discuss in kind of more details and the consequences of it. So there's like a bunch of info here that I don't want to go into details, but it kind of outlines the scale. Like for 5 years, almost 1,000 people. We are building a site in Poland. Half a year ago, I was like essentially employee number 1 in Poland. Right now, we have like 32 engineers in Poland, and we want to like grow further. We do have like a few groups there, and the product group is one that I'm part of. But again, like back year and a half ago, we had like 30 engineers. There were like no teams. So this is like a very rapid evolution, again, like with consequences to software engineering. A fairly like standard tool set. I think what's worth highlighting is that on both backend and frontend, we use like JavaScript and TypeScript. So like this is, I guess, why it's also very relevant here. So this is kind of an aspirational slide, perhaps fairly standard, so you can kind of squeeze eyes and you will see like probably what is being advised to like everybody, how to build good software, how to kind of do layers, compose more like high-level services from the lower-level services. Like this is great advice. You should all follow it, unless you want to do, I think, something quickly. So that's kind of my point. We'll do it in a second. Like ClickUp actually has not followed that like very closely. We have one big database still. We are like moving away from that, but we have like terabytes literally in a single Postgres instance that is a kind of interesting approach, but I think it was one of the ingredients of success, the ability to kind of connect all the data in one place. Specifically, again, like you don't need to read this, but like this is the data model that we have, and this is, I think, where my kind of title of the talk starts to come to the surface. So in an ideal world, we would have all those kind of red pieces be individual microservices and kind of have all those nice interfaces, have their own like data backends, kind of all the good principles. This is great, but and it would make like software, the developers' life much easier. But I think again, like one of the ingredients of like ClickUp's ability to very quickly move with the user needs and kind of build features was kind of access to all of the data from like any place. So kind of breaking this principle of let's decouple the data, let's build the kind of nice domain-driven model of our like problem domain. We need to kind of get out of that like monolithic database, and we are doing that. Fortunately, now we do have like resources to build the foundation, to build the right solutions. But coming back to the kind of lessons that I think can be learned from like ClickUp and the approach to software engineering and this kind of early stage startup is that it was all about customer in the first place, and some let's call it like shortcuts that ClickUp has done initially were actually able to increase the development speed, and thanks to that, it was something that made it possible to kind of follow closely the user needs. So there are some like badges that ClickUp earned, but one thing that I want to like specifically pitch you, like Kenny.io is a platform where like you can gather user feedback, and in the early days, like this was kind of the oracle for the company to actually interact with the users to learn from them and address their needs like as quickly as possible. And therefore, like this kind of short-term development speed was actually more important than the elegance of the solution, that the tech that you acquired. Like we now have the market power to actually start paying down that debt. If we wouldn't get the product right, the user experience right, like we wouldn't be able to continue. So I kind of mentioned this monolith, monorepo, like a little bit provocatively that startups should start at monolith. I'm not like literally saying that. The concept of maybe like monorepo, but like better managed, Nest.js is one of the approaches that we only now start to use to actually break down the whole thing into more like manageable pieces, to separate things into libraries and like thoughtfully reuse the code. I would actually pitch that as maybe an approach which allows to combine the speed of development and combine the kind of future maintainability, ability to evolve, to bring like more developers, more teams without needing to like learn the whole code base. So like Nest.js is something that we have like started using, and I would really pitch to anyone like starting this journey. The next piece, again, like you don't need to like read the details here, but like this is a piece of our like ever-evolving architecture, more like architecture of the infrastructure or kind of the deployment structure, and all of that is has kind of grown organically. We could have been, I think, like much more thoughtful about like how we build binaries, how we deploy that to kind of share less code. This is like related to the monolith. With monolith, we had like much fewer choices. Who should we embrace the more like kind of organized monorepo approach? We could have had all those like deployment units more thoughtful. So again, like the lesson for me is to monorepos are great. Like I've started with monorepo like at Google, but like it needs a lot of care, and Nest.js is a nice scalable way to get that. The other lesson that I'm kind of learning now is if you're developing a new product, new app, think about how it will work when it will be like scaled. So this is just an example of a simple regression of how our reporting jobs are performing, depending on the kind of number of ClickUp tasks that they need to look at. And as you see, like surprise, surprise, the more the tasks, the higher failure rate. And this is kind of obvious, but I wish ClickUp like a couple of years ago would have introduced some limits into like how much data users can put into like a single list. Right now, we are kind of battling the problems that we could have prevented by kind of encouraging some usage patterns, even like putting some hard limits. And with an app that has like many users scenarios, I think it's good to think like when it's okay for it to like stop working, what should be the reasonable limit of when we can say like we do not support that use case. For each app, for each thing, it could be a different limit, but I do think it's useful to think about limits early on. And kind of as an extension of this, we actually in a journey to evolve our infrastructure, we've moved some stuff from Postgres, where you know SQL is very expressible. So especially with this data model that I've previously shown, like you can code almost anything. The problem is that when the database itself grows, when the user workspace grows, those things start to break. The many joins that are being done maybe work for like hundreds of rows, but stop working for like hundreds of thousands of rows. So we're moving to DynamoDB, which is more like scale out solution for like data retrieval. And this is again, I think this is the right time to do that, but we maybe wouldn't have to do that at all if we had those limits. Now we know. Okay, now we know which use cases are important, so we can kind of optimize the solution rather than using a generic solution like Postgres. And this is actually kind of almost a flashback. I witnessed when like Google also had like, let's say, imperfect solution to scaling. So we had like 90 instances of like MySQL, which was hosting all the ads data. We were like increasing the number of shards to just kind of scale. But then really the kind of the scale out solutions started to roll in. And if you can use them from day one, that's great. But if not, there probably will be time when you want to do that. Last lesson, I think it's also useful to be thoughtful about just the features. So again, like this is kind of a matrix of how we wanted to ourselves understand all the potential kind of combinations of possibilities and how we should report on them. The details are not important. The thing is that we had like challenges understanding all of the details. So like each feature you add to the product, each feature you kind of add to the user, you need to continue to support it. And in our case, it's really kind of increases exponentially the complexity. Having said that, like ClickUp was actually successful just because like having lots of those features. So it's a delicate balance. So that's actually it. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo. Wait, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I like the message of planning for growth and expansion. That's what I got from that whole thing. Plan ahead. Think it's going to be bigger. Think about scaling up. We're going to answer some questions. We have time for a few questions if anyone has any questions for Kuba. Got a question? Where? Oh, of course. This guy. Of course. Okay. Conrad, look alive. Hey, right here. Look. Good catch.
I work in tech.
Speaking to the mic. Yeah, that's it.
Hey, thanks for your chat. So I was wondering, how do you manage company culture with such rapid growth in headcount?
It's a challenge, especially that like ClickUp is actually a kind of remote first company. So we do have, I would say, a culture of like helping each other, kind of bringing people on board, but with those teams actually establishing themselves in the last year or so, it's almost less like there is some room for creating your own like subculture, I would say. On some extent, we want to do that like here in the engineering side in Poland, but we try to like have on one hand like some standard like Scrum ceremonies. We do want to have the kind of some like bonding within the team where based on retros, based on the interactions that we have to try to kind of collaborate to make these like processes better. This is challenging in the like remote first place, but I would say that I'm surprised that like somehow it works, that there is I would say the culture of like support, the culture of like being helpful to each other and being focused on kind of how we solve that for the customer.
Yes, communication is key. And some of you guys, I got to tell you, working in IT, I've been exposed to developers and programmers for a couple of years, and yeah, communication can really be helpful. Anyone else got any questions for Conrad? Kuba, excuse me. That's Conrad. This is Kuba.
Can you hear me? My question is, what is the purpose of the establishing the Polish offices in Poland? Is it to localize, to make the localization? I mean that of the ClickUp. I mean to have the ClickUp in Polish, or the team of the Polish team will be involved in preparing the new the next version of the ClickUp, or just is to the sales team to find the new customers in Poland, to grow, or in the Eastern Europe region?
Good question.
So in our case, it's actually purely about like building the new engineering site. This is focused on the engineering product design charter. We do have like sales in centralized for Europe, like in Dublin and UK. We do have localization team that is working kind of but not tied to a country. This is purely about like tapping into that talent pool that that we have in Poland, and given that the users are like across the globe, we want to have teams across the globe. So I did mention briefly like the 3 engineering teams we have, like infrastructure, platform, and core product. We have already like teams within each of those groups.
That was a great question. Thank you. Hold on one more second. Anyone else have any questions for Kuba? I'm not going to throw it that far. I'll probably kill someone. Yeah, could you do that? Oh, you got one too.
I just wanted to ask about that mountain hut. Which mountains? What is?
So this is Col de la Fourche, Bivacco. So this was like 8-person unattended hut at like in the Mont Blanc Massif. That's a sad story.
One more.
Okay. Hello. So as I understood, your solution is kind of solving most of the problems of different companies. And I mean, for example, for the company, you need to pay for the Jira, pay for the teams, pay for other services, and basically you have everything in like one platform.
So that's the kind of future.
Is it legal?
Apparently, yes.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah. So this is a little bit of an aspirational goal, but I think we are still like we are already farther than many of the competitors. So like usually those partial solutions are focused on some group. So like you might have Jira for like engineering, you might have maybe Asana for some kind of task management, you maybe have like yeah, or like Salesforce or like Zendesk, all of those things. So these are like great tools. We want to build even better tools. We will not get there like within a day. I think where ClickUp shines today is that we enable like all departments to speak the same language, to like work within the same tool. We are kind of working towards, you know, optimized handling of like all the nuanced use cases. So for example, working on dashboards where we know that support for like sprint planning, all those reporting is not like so great. So we want to like level, like increase the quality at each place, but we already have a tool that many like small and medium-sized companies use kind of across the board, from finance to engineering.
Thank you very much. Everyone give a big hand to Kuba. Jeszcze raz. Kuba Rozkwitalski, tak?
Thank you.
Wow, I'm just impressed I could pronounce his name. Yeah, I forgot to mention, that was a great question, sir. I forgot to mention earlier that as far as I can tell, Poland has one of, if not the most vibrant IT culture. You are a pool of talent, which has not been exploited. Is exploitation a good word? Which the world may be unaware of. And so I'm seeing what's going on here and I'm thinking, wow, this is really vibrant. And that's why I'm really pleased and honored to be here with you. Is anyone here for the first time? I recognize a lot of faces. Anyone here at WarsawJS for the first time? Everybody give them a big welcome, first timers. Yay, bravo. Hopefully you'll be here also for the 100th meetup. That's going to be a big party and occasion. Okay, so after this, oh, these are your slides, not mine. Can I move the slides? Where's the laptop? Oh, this is, I see it's yours. Thank you so much. All right, so our next talk, speaker will be Vadym. I love these names. You know, this is challenging for my, yeah, you get it. Vadym Tarasich. Yeah, is that right? And he's going to also speak to you for 25 minutes. And the name of your talk is Abstract Game, How We Built a Backbone for All Our Games. Please welcome Vadym to the stage.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kuba. Thank you everyone for coming here. Well, that's my voice. Yeah, I feel sorry for all of you. So yeah, hello. My name is Vadym, and I am a front-end developer in Evolution Gaming. So who are we? Evolution is a product company whose main focus is online casino solutions. In our case, it's online casino games. So when I'm talking about the games, so how did it all started? Well, at first we had a couple of games, and we had to pick a technology to use to build our games. And at that time, React was a thing, and it was completely okay with our needs, and so we stick to that. Well, everyone was sticking to React. And since our games are quite complex on the front-end side, we needed some state management tool, so we picked up Redux. So easy choice, right? Okay. What's happening? Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of our games we have. Well, these are live games. What are those? Well, we have a lot of studios all around the globe, and the studio has its own. All of them have its own setup of cameras and table games and etc. And these streams from these tables are streamed to the player. And we build an UI on top of that stream, so the user can interact with the game. User can see the result of the game. He can bet at some bet spots and etc. So our first couple or few games were the classic ones of the casino: the roulette, blackjack, and baccarat. And even though they were different, there were a lot of common components you may spot it. For example, these buttons on top that may trigger some settings, volume change, and etc. These buttons and the chat window, the timer, the balance control buttons, and the lobby buttons, for example, and of course, chip stack. So the logical decision would be, hey, since we use that across our games, we have to move them to some separate library of components, right? And we did that. But together with all those simple visual representational components, there were also a lot of logic behind the scenes that was built using Redux and Redux as well, Redux and React as well. So together with all the components, we moved huge chunks of the logic to the common library. So over the time, we needed more and more games. And well, we had a small problem with that library of components. Whenever we start a new game, we had to build, like, we had to compose all the layout and the game by using those components. And you know, when you develop a lot of the games over a short period of time, building all of those layouts may be a hassle, right? So we decided, hey, we need our own Create React app, but for the Evolution games. So then we can move all of that hassle to some black box. We'll just build all the common part for ourselves. And we call that the abstract game. Well, the main purpose of that was that we would put all of that common functionality and common complex components to some black box that game developers can use, initialize, and then forget about that and just focus on the game development. So out of that box, we would initialize basically components, the transport, the chat, the very complex balance handling, and the video handling as well. So then the time of the starting of development of a new game would be really shortened. So how would that look from a game developer perspective? Well, basically, you start a new game, you create a new package, you build some config to be able to customize some parts. Because even though there are a lot of common components, there will be a necessity of somehow customizing them, because there is no limit of the creativity of our designers and people who are thinking about our next new games. So you create a config, you basically feed that to the create abstract game method, and that will return the transport and other useful things that we use across our games. And the root of the game, not of the game, but of the abstract game, where you can put your game, basically. And that will handle for you a lot of things. For example, all the layout will be built, all the buttons, etc., etc. So you are focused on the game development itself. So at that point, we had a pretty solid base, which we call, abstract game, core of all of our games. And that gave a huge benefit that if we improve that or modify, all the games from across our portfolio will get the changes. But then the question arises, how would the game communicate with the abstract game, with the core functionality? For example, if game wants to know if the chat is opened or not, or maybe game would need to know about if the video quality has dropped, or the game would want to change the video quality, how would they communicate with each other? Well, the solution is simple. Since the abstract game is built with Redux and React, the game can communicate through the typical Redux elements, like the game can dispatch some actions to the abstract game, the abstract game would react, and so on and so forth, and the abstract game state will be changed accordingly to those actions, and the game can listen to those. And the game can also listen to the actions that abstract game dispatches, and use that in the game's middlewares. So imagine that we used that approach for a couple of years, right? Our code base grows. The complexity of the abstract game also grows significantly. And it's all good. It's all good. It all works. The speed of development of new games skyrockets, and we enjoy that. But there are some problems, maybe obvious problems, but well, we are in progress, so we didn't see them at some time. First of all, that both the game and the abstract game are really dependent on the technology stack. So since we are using React and Redux for the abstract game, all the new games would need to use React and Redux to get all the benefits of the abstract game. And tight coupling. Well, that means that all of the games would need to import some actions from the abstract game in order to have a possibility to interact with abstract game, and vice versa. So yeah, it's very tight coupling. And the testing complexity. That's also a huge problem when you need to test some chunk of your game's logic together with the abstract game. You would have to, I don't know, mock a part of this abstract game store or do some actions every time. So this is hard. This is hard. And a solution to those problems that we came up with was the abstract game API. I know there is a lot of words abstract, but yeah. So the abstract game API. So the main idea was to decouple this technology dependency. So instead of importing all that Redux elements to every other game, we decided to create a library or framework agnostic API that would help us to get rid of all of that. I know it may look a bit complex, but still. So abstract game API, it would take a responsibility of, from one side, it would expose some values and actions to all of the games. And instead of importing all that Redux elements, we would use a single abstract game API instance for all that games. And that's it. All of these games would not know about what framework or what technology is used behind that. So abstract game would keep our existing abstract games Redux store in sync with these exposed values, and then done. We don't have this dependency on the Redux for our games. So yeah, okay, there was a fancy animation. So yeah, the abstract game API is modular thing, and it represents its modules represent slices of the Redux store, where the Redux state fields will be represented as observable values, and instead of Redux actions, we would have a simple methods that would modify those values. So why observables? Well, apart from all the benefits, I would like to highlight that they are reactive, they are framework agnostic. So now the game would not need to keep in mind that it has to have Redux or something like that, and it can use whatever they want. And it's pretty widely used. So now it's quite common technology. So whoever new comes to the company, he would know how to work with the abstract game API because, well, it's observables, it's everywhere. And now a bit more to the technical questions. So we have that abstract game built on React and Redux. We have an abstract game API on observables. And how do we keep those exposed values from the abstract game API and in sync with that our core functionality? So the solution was pretty straightforward at that time. So abstract game API would subscribe to the store updates of our existing Redux store through the Redux subscribe method, surprise, surprise. And whenever the subscriber will be triggered, we will just update all of our observable values, and the game will get and the game observers will be notified about the changes. So now we solve the problem of keeping that state in sync. But how the game can communicate with the abstract game, in this case, if we throw out throughout the actions, Redux actions. Well, this is even more complex, but I will try to explain that. So let's consider a scenario when the game needs to open a pop-up. So what does it do? It calls abstract game open pop-up method. Abstract game in its own turn, since it handles all that Redux relations, dispatches that action to the Redux store. Then Redux store updates, maybe some middlewares will be triggered, and etc. It updates that value, and then the previous scenario happens. The store subscribers gets triggered, the observable value gets updated, and then the game gets the updated value. For now, let's see how the code would be changed. In our example, I will show you super oversimplified component, which will just trigger pop-up if it's toggle pop-up. So if it's shown, it just hides pop-up, and when it's hidden, it shows pop-up. So here on the left side, you can see the example of how would it be built with Redux. So you see that we have imported dispatch and selector from React Redux. We have all that stuff imported from our core functionality, the selector and action creators. And well, basically the toggle function is super simple. You either dispatch this or dispatch that. With the abstract game API, it would change a bit. You see that all the Redux stuff has been thrown away. Instead, we import two hooks that I will talk about on the next slide. And well, we do basically the same. So visually, the readability of the code didn't change much, right? So we just subscribe to some value update, the current pop-ups in our case, and we use pop-ups module from the abstract game. And well, we do the same magic. So these are also super simplified representation of those hooks. The UseIG would basically just take abstract game instance from the context, and UseIG value is the hook that is used to have to subscribe and unsubscribe to the observable value from the abstract game API. So over the years, we created tens of games, and abstract game API, abstract game helped us to do that. And it grew too, and the complexity grew too. But time flies by pretty fast. The technology are evolving. We are evolving too. And there was some point then where we had to, make another step. And the abstract game API helped us to do that. That basically untied the hands of our game developers in terms of the framework or technology choice. Because, it's a pretty library and technology agnostic. That's it. Thank you.
Testing, testing, 1, 2. Wow, that was very concise, and I think the people liked it a lot. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Of course you do, naturally. Okay, I'm left-handed, so good luck, Anya. There you go.
I have a tight grip. Okay, so I like the presentation, and the question I have is the separation of the React Redux logic with the original concept for the abstract game and the API is nice if you want to use a different framework, is nice if you want to have a different approach. But if you do decide to use a different framework or a different approach, you incur I think, heavy cost in terms of performance and bundle size, because you now have 2 frameworks and 2 stores and 2 of everything. How do you deal with that?
Well, first of all of our code is, as you said, separated to chunks, and we really value the performance in our company. But well, in our case, we didn't yet move from the React. Still, we have at this time we have moved just from the Redux for our games. I think that will be a question for future. How would we manage the different libraries that we include, and etc. But this is a gradual step-by-step approach, and we just making these steps in such a direction, and we are going to solve them one by one. So at first we just separate from this dependency, and later on we'll deal with chunks and performance too. I hope that somehow answers the question.
Next question.
Yeah, hello. Really nice presentation. So as I understood, you as you mentioned from your speech, you are in progress every time you are doing code. You're progressing in games, more games, and you're trying to build, from my point of view, for now, a complex solution to do another games. If you will need to change the logic in abstract game, you will spend lots of time to do it because it's already grown a lot and it's already complex. Have you tried to reconsider like a little bit of the approaches, like from the startups world, when you build MVP and it's working, it's kind of proving your business idea, you reconsider it, you trying to build for the specific business cases. And as I can see, maybe you can reconsider like to build it more easily with less, I don't know, dependencies, so on.
Yeah, that's really nice question. Thank you. So when you mentioned the complexity of the abstract game, it's worth to mention how huge that is, to be honest, and how many problems does it solve for us. For example, like all of our games have to handle a lot of things similarly, and we cannot just throw it away and just build something from scratch. We have so many integrations on that side, and well, so many huge logical pieces that would have to be reused across all of the games. Of course, there are some MVPs and so on that we are considering, and some new technologies and etc. But for the broad-wise usage, we cannot go further away from what we have now at this moment.
That sounded like a very complex question. I should, full disclosure, I am not a programmer or a developer. However, I'm learning a lot every single time I attend one of these meetings. And I can even speak almost intelligently on the topic.
So as you operate an online casino, how do you deal with the guys who win too much and not based on proximity, but based on the way that they are trying to cheat in online casinos?
There is no way of cheating in online casinos.
You have
Yeah,
an answer
really.
to the answer?
Basically, you can write some bots or whatever, but there is no way of actually cheating in those games.
Doesn't stop people from trying.
Sorry? Cheating is hacking game logic, right? Is that what you meant by cheating? Yeah, so there is no way of that.
Anyone else have any questions? How many gamers, how many people are designing games, building games in the room? Too scared. I don't blame you. It seems like a very complicated process, and thank you for explaining and giving that presentation. If they have any more questions, they can talk to you later. Yes? Thank you very much. Give them a big hand, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and again, I have the same situation here with the slides. I want to take this opportunity also to say, wow, I'm looking out at this crowd, and I do see a lot of diversity. And this was like my biggest apprehension about this whole IT, call it community, yeah? The idea that it could be a community didn't seem real to me until I'm standing here now. And so I'm really happy to see that I have my friend from Ukraine over here. Yeah, give her a big hand. You know, we talked about that situation last time. She gave a great presentation last time, as I remember. And we want to take an opportunity to thank the team from Google Campus, the startup campus, because they made this all possible. So give, is there a picture up there? Yeah, give these guys a hand because they really helped to make everything happen. And we're going to go on. So our next talk will be a lightning talk, which means it's going to be approximately 5 minutes. Is that what that means? Approximately. We're going to try to take it easy. And it's going to be given by, here we go again, Richard Taujenis. Taujenis? Oh, it's you. Okay. How are you today? That's you. I'm really excited to see you here. Yeah, met you also at a WarsawJS meetup like a year ago. Is that true? Yeah, and the name of your... Okay, yeah, you? Yeah, sure. 10 minutes, no problem. Digital Minimalism, and welcome.
Thank you. So where's the button? And how do I just forward? Oh yeah. Hi, so I'm Richard. I'm like a software developer as well, like a content creator. And like a while ago, I read a book about digital minimalism, and I really liked it. So what is it about? Take the cursor away. So it's like basically a way of life that brings clarity and calmness into a life full of distractions. And tech has, like, for many of us, has like became a big part of our lives. And yeah, but actually an excessive amount can be expected to cause negative impact and both on physical and mental health. And fun fact, Carl Newport, the guy, he as well is a software developer. So it's not just like an average Joe. So attention. So the so-called revolution started with Facebook, connecting us like never before, like after the .com. And obviously, SaaS companies have discovered vast fortunes to be made in culture dominated by gadgets and apps. So, and it's getting more common to document your entire life. With all social media platforms, same as like TikTok, is completely out of scale. And we lose our ability to enjoy the present moment because we may have the need to document it for a virtual audience. So, and recognitions are basically companies recognize the power of it, the unpredictable positive feedback hook, and tweak their products with this mind to make their appeal even more stronger. And I think it's like quite a norm nowadays, but like, you know, we don't conceive the depth of it. So again, back to Facebook. When it went into building Facebook, their idea was how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible, which entails giving the user a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on our photo or post or whatever. Like the way TikTok is built is quite hefty, and our attention span is as well like decreasing quite drastically, especially amongst children. So pyramid, maybe somebody could like explain what I meant here. Can we have? Could anyone like assume what I mean in this picture? What? Yeah, and with Google Ads and so forth, with Facebook, Google Ads, and so forth. I don't know if you noticed, like in these COVID times, these past 2-3 years, like Google Ads became so much more intense and was able to like focus on you in a deeper scale. I just noticed it like during like 2019 and then 2022, and it's like a huge like explosion in it. So what is minimalism is like basically technology offers a little more than a minor diversion or trivial convenience, and the minimalist will ignore these kind of new technologies, right? The approach and the message basically to focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities, and then happily miss out on things that you don't actually require. So as I mentioned before, our attention span is decreasing by the day. It's quite easy to be seduced by small amount of profit offered by latest apps and services, but obviously then forget the cost in terms of most important resource we possess, the minutes of our lives. And obviously the corporations make more money the more time you spend and engage in their products. And I think it's like quite strong regarding Web3. I don't know if you know Axie Infinity. You have as well Steppen, where you get like these coins and tokens. So solitude. So like one of the things is like solitude is what happens in your brain when not to the environment around you. And according to is defined to be a subjective state in which your mind is free from inputs from other minds. And I don't think like how many people actually have it nowadays. We're constantly inputting something and it's like, you know, distracting. And actually it as well doesn't help me as a developer always being on a gadget. Solitude like helps a lot. And as well to understand like, you know, problems in hand, right? And it requires you to move past reacting to information created by other people and focus instead of your own thoughts and experience whenever you happen to be. So deprivation. So what is it? It's like a state in which you spend close to zero time alone with your own thoughts and free from input from other minds, as mentioned before. And when you avoid solitude, you miss out on positive things it brings to you, ability to clarify hard problems, to regulate emotions, build courage, and as well like strengthen the relationships, right? As well, when walking around, I also often feel like, families with strollers and always on the phone, and I don't think it actually brings, good relationships in the long term. 1 minute and okay. So don't click like. So connectivity, it's to adapt human interest in social connections, and a fascinating piece of evolutionary history. Our instinct to connect is quite strong. It's difficult to resist checking a device in the middle of a conversation with a friend, or thus reducing the quality of our richer interactions. So reclaiming leisure. For some of us, we don't always crave digitalism in our lives, but often we cannot find any other substitute. And so, and we just go back to screens as usual. So solution, prioritizing demanding activities over passive consumption. and we obviously live in the age of distractions. Many people experience the world of large user screens now. I put this picture down because a few times ago I was actually chopping wood, and it was a lot more pleasing for me than finishing my full stack project. Attention resistant. Yeah. So George Parker, he said like Twitter scares me not because of moral superiority, but because he doesn't know how to handle it. And to a social media pro, the idea of surfing constantly in search of entertainment is a trap. And platforms have been designed to take more and more of your attention. And
10 seconds.
Yeah. In an age where digital attention economy is shoveling more and more clickbait towards us and fragment our focus into emotional charts, the right response is to become more mindful in our media consumption. So basically your time equals their money. And yeah, that's it.
And thank you. Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. This, ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of us, I think we're all aware of what we're doing here. You all are in a very, very unique position because you have the talent, you have the knowledge, you understand the computer language, you know how to write language, interpret language. Everyone here, I believe, and that's why I'm here, understands that we make choices in the jobs that we take and the software that we participate in developing, yes? This is, thank God that a lot of this technology and these jobs are available. This is why we have our sponsors, CallStack, Daft Code, Evolution, Fresha, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and Xfang. The idea is that we should all work for a more positive world and be conscious of developing tools which are useful to people. Yes, we have a bottom line. We have a bottom line, it's true. We need to support ourselves, to support our families. And it also is a good idea, and you're right, to pay attention to the effects, yes. Communicate with each other. I'm a communications, let's say, advisor. And I've realized that between us that, we're designing sometimes tools which actually make it easier for people not to communicate. So something to keep in mind. Does anyone have any questions for this young man before we move on? Okay. It is. Welcome to Google.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So thank you for a very fascinating presentation. I haven't expected to listen to such a meta presentation, perhaps, because it's more on the matters of mind, and the mind is what we use to produce software. So I would like to ask you, and this might be a question with a thesis behind it, but do you think that this digital, maybe digital products that suck you in, suck your attention, are just another form of maybe some broader phenomenon called hyperstimuli, meaning the stimuli that really affect your natural needs and desires, but in a maximized way and unnatural way, so that they take away from you satisfying those needs in a healthy and wholesome way. Thank you.
Well, I definitely agree with that. For own experience, when I've been too long just coding and everything on development on the computer side, right? I know this is gives an impulsive twitch, and some people say it's your monkey mind comes in act, and you lose a rational thought behind your actions. And it's more impulsive and less, I think a lot of people actually fell into it partially when the crypto and NFTs and so forth, because it's quite captivating with YouTube and so on, always promoting, and Discord as well. So there are a lot of things that I at least wish I would know before about stepping aside, and actually even on development side it helps me a lot. Step outside, do some sports, run, and then come back inside with a clear head. So I agree that it makes us more edgy in a way when it's too lengthy and not enough breaks time to time.
Thank you very much. Good answer. I'm old enough to remember Pause. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember. When I was a child, the Flintstones were still alive, okay? So we had one computer game that was most popular. I think it was the first one that appeared. It was called Pong. Has anyone ever played that? No, because you're too young. You played it? You played it? It's like a thing bouncing back and forth. And I've seen this field develop and grow and thrive in ways, some of which are very, very useful and very, very amazing and astonishing. And of course, now we're starting to see the, let's say, not so positive after effects of some of these tools which are being developed. It's a fact. At the same time, I'm going to go back to this point. And thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, one more. And then I want to bring this back to the positive side of everything, because that's why we're here. We're trying to figure out how to find networking and job finding and development and everything that's positive about it. That is why we are here.
You mentioned Facebook and pyramid, and my question is, no, maybe that question, the social media earns money on the pay attention of their users. My question is, what is for you the closed social media to meet the idea of digital minimalism?
Well, for me, basically, it's just to use the social media just for possibly content creating, but not as much consumption, right? There's always somebody trying to sell you, but then like the question is if it's actually your own idea. I know this, like I think everybody takes certain media inputs, and then actually it affects your subconscious and you act upon what you wouldn't usually think about, right? So I think it's just stick to what you actually require. Like the person who wrote this book is as well a software developer, and he abstained from Facebook and a lot of things. A lot of people want to create next SaaS like a Facebook, right, for example. And how can you create it if you're always using it, right? You want to create your own thing. So it's like, differentiate between both.
Good question and good answers. Once more, we want to thank you for that presentation, reminding us that there's always something under the surface. When you lift the hood, you'll certainly find a mechanism there. I have to say about social media, because, again, I'm like 85 years old, so I can talk this way. I'm in Poland right now, and I'm able to speak with my sisters, my nieces, my nephews. I'm able to contact people all over the world. And I just have to say that in spite of all of the purported negative effects of overuse and dopamine stimulation and all the things we know that go on physiologically, I'm very grateful to have those tools. Next, I hope we have a gentleman who has something to say about job opportunities and finding them in Poland. Are you Ibram? Okay, well, I was told that you've got a lot of things to say that could help us to understand something about career choices and changes. Can I invite you to the stage?
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, guys. First of all, big up to WarsawJS and Piotr. This is actually great what they are doing. Yeah, I met this gentle guy 3 weeks ago, and here I am. So I'm sorry, I don't have any slide. I think they got stuck in the traffic. So from my perspective, of course, it's my perspective. I think the purpose of life is to be happy. And to be happy, we need to make some effort, because it doesn't come from the sky. And I think one important factor is our daily routine. I think if a human being doesn't enjoy his their daily routine, then I think the conditions to be happy are not met. And daily routine, we spend them working mainly or studying. So whoever, let's say, is wondering what to do as a profession or what to study, actually they are in a great situation. I expect you guys to tell them, if you don't know what to do, go to IT. IT is the thing to do. If you don't know, choose the default choice. It's IT, and you will see the return on effort. Because from my perspective, for example, let's say when I arrived in Poland 2 years ago, the first medical doctor I visited, she's a dermatologist, and I was surprised when she told me, I asked her how the business is going. She told me that we have to work a lot, too many hours to afford our lives. I was shocked because in France, doctors are making a lot of money. And from my perspective, it's a shame to, as an IT, from my perspective, to make more money than this dermatologist, because I think, yeah, the effort to become a doctor and to practice the job, there is no possible comparison with the most comfortable, from my perspective, profession. We take care of computers. We talk with them, and we enjoy the outcome. So yeah, the idea is to make sure that people who are struggling with their profession go to IT, and you are lucky to be in Poland, because I can tell you, if you ask me which country has the highest proportion of corpo that do not care about your degree, no doubt it's Poland. No doubt. You go to France, they do care about the degree. They do care so much that I know a good friend of mine who had to do 3 master's degrees, the 2 first in economics. He was jobless. And he decided to go to study 1 year. Of course, it was very challenging, and at the end, he found a job. Here in Poland, I was happy to meet corpo companies. They didn't ask me my degree. I was nicely surprised, and this is great. So, guys, people who are not aware, let them know. Yeah, my friend used to ask me, what are you doing in Poland? I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying life. This is what I'm doing. And how long are you planning to stay in Poland? As long as I will enjoy it. So far, so good. I can't complain. And guys, if the people in your entourage, they struggle to receive the message that IT is the key, if they don't know, send them to me. Okay, I'm Ibracadabra, the magician. I will transform them to IT. But my first priority is to take care of kids from any orphanage. So guys, if you know anyone who is running an orphanage in Warsaw, the kids from those orphanages are my top priority to make sure they will drive the market before they turn 18. This is my goal, to make sure that they will have the assets to drive the market. And I have no doubt that programming skills are the assets to drive the market. And if we have to divide the world in 2 parts, the lucky people and the unlucky ones, there is no doubt I'm on the lucky side, and I'm happy to bring everyone to the lucky side as well.
That's a beautiful message.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to meet you. Really a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
And how long have you been in Poland now?
So 2 years.
2 years.
I'm going to my 3rd year. Yeah, I arrived just before COVID, and I'm still here.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I just have a couple more things to say about what you were saying before we bring Piotr Jentara to the stage. I've been here about 27 years. And every day I answer those same questions. How long are you going to stay in Poland? What are you doing there anyway? How did you get to Poland? I say, an airplane. What do you think, right? Every single day for 27 years. And I will say this about the children. First of all, yes, it's a vibrant, as I said, IT community.
Exactly.
And you know, there is opportunity because even a person like myself is able to learn and also to practice and to become knowledgeable in the field. I will say this. What is happening in education? I spoke with another developer friend of mine. He says that his 15-year-old niece, who has every application imaginable on the planet, has 0 IT education before she graduates high school. People, you have the power and the influence to make it an absolute necessity that these kids, like this little one, Leosh over here, that these kids receive an education to prepare themselves for what is to come.
Exactly.
So they cannot drive the markets, they cannot participate, there will be no job they can obtain without being proficient in at least one computer language. That means, my idea is this. Exactly. My idea is this, that before you can graduate from high school, you must be proficient in reading and writing at least one computer language. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Let me hear your approval. Hello.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Absolutely.
Because think about it, it's already difficult now and the gap is widening. If we don't prepare these young people for the future, then what can we expect? We can expect a bunch of social media addicts and so on, as this man was explaining. So thank you very much, my man. It's very pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure.
See you again sometime soon, I hope. I need to take this
Very
one.
soon.
Very soon. I hope so. Are you guys ready for this? Our next speaker, you may be familiar with. This is, of course, the man who brought us all together and brought me here. I'm very grateful. You're not ready? Lydia. Oh, hey, Lydia. How are you? Okay, see, I'm just, I wasn't, oh, there you are. We met last time from Skyworker, right. And I remember your presentation. You were so gifted and talented. It's going to be you this time? Well, your friend is very, very gifted and talented, and I was hooked on. You go, yeah, here, you guys can go back.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, guys. Hi, my name is Lydia Terpel. I'm a CEO and co-founder at Skywalker. And I hope that somebody of you know already something about Skywalker. And it's something like Tinder for engineers and vacancies, you know. And let's start from the few. It's a good Tinder, yeah. Have good algorithms, yeah, everything fine. So let's start from the few questions. Who here like already registered on Skywalker? Can you raise the hands? Whoa, we have few people. Cool. Yeah, but we should change this situation, you know. We should have more hands. So, okay, Skywalker, it's marketplace for tech recruitment with different jobs on the platform. We, as a team, like 16 people, we are from Ukraine. And now you can say congratulations, because we have the first team member from Poland. So now we are like Ukrainian and Polish team also. And previously, Ola explained you at the previous event how Skywalker is working, how we match good engineers with great vacancies. And today we have a few news for you, what we improved and add to our product. So with our team, we every day thinking how to impress developers. And you know, to impress you, it's really very hard. Yes, so we started from the idea that maybe we can do something with very unique data, which we have, because we have information about salary ranges, about all job offers on Skywalker. You know, it's very important for company representatives to add this data from the beginning. That's why we decided to create the first in the world, personal salary analytics for developers. And now we have like good results for you, because on Skywalker, you can check the highest maximum salary for you which some of the companies who are already on Skywalker can present you. Also, you can check salary meridian in your job offers. And also, every day you can check how many companies really want you and can present you these proposals. Yes, so we received a lot of good comments from the developers and our users, and I know that even the biggest job board in Poland and their founder think that this feature is interesting. So yeah, I hope that it will motivate you, register and use it, and check which the maximum salary now you can earn on the Polish or even global market. Yeah, because Skywalker, it's not the typical job board. Skywalker, it's the platform, and our idea is to gather all remote developers in the world on this platform, and also the proposals to all these remote developers from the whole world. And we did a great step for the last half a year since our moving to the Warsaw, because today we have good analytics. We have candidates from 92 countries and also job offers from 44 countries on Skywalker. But we don't want to stop on it. That's why we have our second big update on Skywalker. Next slide, please. Yeah, do you know some recruiters? You can make good money on it now on Skywalker. We understood that maybe each second company which register on the platform, when we talk with them on the demo calls and we ask, how do you know about Skywalker? Their answer is, some developer, my friend developer, our developer in our team recommended me Skywalker. So we decided that, each day, I know you send these messages, nie szukać, thank you, in LinkedIn. Yes, so it's boring, it's not interesting, and you haven't any, good results on it. And that recruiters also said, because you answered no. That's why we have a perfect answer for you for the future to the question, are you looking for a job? Of course, you can answer, yes, I'm looking, but mostly you answer, I'm not interested. But I know that my friends use Skywalker, so here is your promo code for 1 month for free on this platform. And this will be amazing proposal for the recruiter, because mostly we propose only 1 week for free on the platform. But thanks to you and your codes, they will have 1 month without any limits. Even they will hire, hundreds of developers. It will be free for them. And also, what we will do, we will provide you a gift as $300 for each company who will use Skywalker and buy our services. So it's our referral program with some benefits for developers and also for recruiters, because we want to gather all companies in the world to present you all possible salary ranges in all possible countries for you, for your ability to manage your career, to build your career fast and in the perfect way. And I hope that with your help, we will grow faster. And we will achieve how many countries in the world? Help me, please. Registrations from all that countries. Yeah, I should learn better geography. So thank you a lot. Maybe you have some questions.
That was a great presentation. I don't know why everyone in the room doesn't have this. It sounds like, how could you not have this Skywalker? It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How many digital nomads do we have in the room? Right, exactly. Because you're all happy in your jobs. That's why Poland is treating us well. Does anyone have any questions about this Skywalker? Any questions whatsoever? Yes? Here's someone with a question. Yeah, here you go. Sir.
Okay. Where does your salary data come from?
Could you repeat, please? Because
where is your salary data from? And
salary. Sorry.
Reveal your sources immediately.
Okay. Yeah. We have already on the platform near 800 companies who are using it. So when they publish their jobs on the platform, it must have to put the salary range per each vacancy. That's why we have all this data, and we are it's possible for us to create such analytics, what it's impossible to do for job boards or other platforms. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so we're not going to ask you to
Also, one more question.
betray most of your secrets,
Yeah.
because I guess we could all do it if we had that information, right? All right, there you are, sir.
I was just thinking one feature suggestion. Maybe what you could do is if you've got 83 companies that want to hire a person and those 83 companies reject that person, then maybe your platform would suggest, hey, we've got a special coaching feature. Do you want to succeed in your next recruitment? Just go through A, B, C, D, E. When you complete all those, and if those next 83 reject you again, then we've got this and this other package. I think you've got a lot of potential there. You're not looking at the whole picture here. Got to look from all the sides.
Maybe you'd like to collaborate and team up.
Yeah, thank you. But you know what is interesting? That we are caring about minimizing the rejections till the 0% of rejections, because our algorithms, they present you vacancies because you are relevant for these vacancies. If we speak about skills, years of experience, salary expectations, like you already have all matches. That's why it's like it's very hard to reject such candidate who already have all these matches. Yeah, that's why we are doing this platform, because all other platforms a little bit old school, and that's why you reject it mostly, like very often on that platforms.
So you have a higher chance of actually finding a match, is what you're saying.
Yeah, of course.
It sounds that way. That sounds like it makes a lot of sense to me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah,
Any more
thank
questions?
you.
Any more? One more, of course.
Yeah. And Ola,
How
maybe,
did I know?
Ola, can you return the slide with the promo code? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
We
going to
like-
ask about that promo code, yeah.
Yeah, 50 seconds. I will explain very important moment that we like, to release something before coding. That's why we will release amazing referral program on the platform with all these automatically created promo codes. But now we have this, MVP, like your name, surname, Sky, and this is your promo code. Yeah. And we will find you because you will create this name as your name in LinkedIn. So don't care, we will find you. We will even use, some detectives to do it, but we will pay you if you will bring us amazing companies to the platform. Thank you. Your question.
So my question is, thank you very much. Very nice presentation. You mentioned your team is about 16 persons and one Polish. But my question is you mentioned that 93. You gather the data from 93 countries. So it's a lot of data, and my question is: do you use the artificial intelligence to, evaluate this data and about how to handle this so much data? Gives this charts, about the salaries and etc.
Yeah.
Load balancing alone.
Let's start from a little it's a little bit joke. Each investor asked me, do you have artificial intelligence on Skywalker? And my answer is, yeah, in our domain, Skywalker AI, We start from the MVP also in this case. So we bought a domain. For artificial intelligence adding and machine learning, we need to gather even much more data. That's why now it's something like when it's a moment when we are collecting all this data, because now we have candidates from 92 countries, but also we need to gather, like a few 100,000 such candidates on the platform to do next steps. And I think that more closer to the round A, when we will raise it, we will promote that we are like 100% artificial intelligence platform. But now it's like kind of only the beginning of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you very much. I can see the interest in people's eyes while you're speaking. This idea that, first of all, I can find out how much money I can earn, the maximum salary, and then to also offer to pay people. Is that $300 or euros? 300, so 300 anything, to pay people for also bringing companies to. Because a lot of people offer commissions, they offer bonuses. If you bring us a new client, we will give you a percentage, et cetera, et cetera. You have a set number, and I think it's a really fascinating idea. And I hope everyone will immediately go get the app. Let's sign up. I'm ready.
Yeah, when you don't try to find new job, you already can make more money. It's very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Give
okay.
Lydia a hand. Please give her another big hand. Big hand. That was great. 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 That was that. That was really great. And your friend, I thought she was like the star in the family, but wow, that was really, really well done. Folks, we want to announce something. Where's Mr. Gentara? We have a Dominik Lubański in the room. Dominik Lubański, you here? Yeah, I was asked to invite you to the stage. I heard you have a few things to say before Piotr returns. Notice I'm rolling my R's now. Please, it took me a really long time. It depends on what letter comes before, like Dominik Lubański, is that right? Dominik, is that right?
Can I speak here?
Is Dominik right?
Dominik is yes. Is
And
right.
the last name?
Lubański.
Lubański.
It's like the football player in Poland some time ago.
Lubański. Dominik Lubański,
But
everybody.
you have to really wait a few seconds.
I have to stay?
prepare.
Okay. Okay.
So you can talk because I just like you talking.
No, I'm out. I'm out. Go ahead. You have the stage.
So bear in mind, but I have to log in my account, so just close your eyes.
Oh my God. I love it. This is good. This is really good.
I did it on purpose, but don't count characters. I will change the password. Yes, yes. Thank you. You won the prize.
I'm thinking.
I needed to prepare myself, so please don't count my time yet. It's impossible to do it in 5 minutes. I tried it at home a few times, but I try now do it. So hi, my name is Dominik. For several years, I'm working on a project named Hybrids. It's an open source project which started as a UI library, but in this year, I thought that it's the right time to call it framework. So this short talk, will be about making a JavaScript framework. It's about over the 5 years of coding. 4 years ago, just right on this stage, I was talking about hybrids. It was Conference.js first meetup of Conference.js. So if you want to know more about the project, I have some other talks about it. In 2016, when I started working on the project, I thought that it's very important to start with some goals and restrictions, requirements, how we call it. It's impossible to create a project which will please everyone. No, it's impossible. So that's why we've got multiple frameworks now, which are modern, like new ones growing with community, like Solid.js, Svelte, and other stuff. So it's like because someone thinks that there is a place where we can do better. So my goal was a little bit different. The first thing, I want to create a tool which is dependency free. What does it mean? It means that it will not follow the way as, for example, React, which really requires to load all of the other stuff made by community. And then suddenly you don't have support for that project and you have to move on to another one. The second thing was that it had to run just in the browser. It means that I don't want it to, no compilation process, no translation process. You just put the script tag in your 20 years old project and this framework will work. Of course, in modern browser, but it doesn't require some tooling and stuff. And as much as possible, it should be based on platform APIs. And the fourth thing, and I think most important, which creates the API and how the framework works, is a declarativeness and functional programming. So it's totally different, as you will see. So it's the best advantage of the project. And in the same way, sometimes it may be a little bit harder to get into the project because it's just different. You sometimes have to think, I would say, out of the box. So in May 2018, the hybrid started with first major version, and the only one big feature was to creating UI elements, which were custom elements. So it's a component model, the first big feature. It's based on plain objects and pure functions in the definition of the component where possible. But still, under the hood, it uses the Web Components API. It means that custom elements, templates, Shadow DOM, and other stuff. Still, it's not quite that simple as it could be, as the custom elements, for example, are based on class syntax, which I really don't like. But I figured out how to do it differently. It looks simple, but under the hood is also the property definitions, has cache, change detection mechanisms. You can observe properties, create really more complex stuff. And in that time, I knew what I want to do next. But it took some time. Over the 2 years later, I released in hybrids a state management system. It's a declarative state management system defined by model definitions with built support for async, synchronous, external storages, whatever you want, relations between models, offline caching in local storage, and many more features. And what is most important part of this, it decouples all of the data logic into separate place. So the presentation, for example, here on the bottom, uses the function which defines that user, and then in the render property, we're using this user. But the definition of the component, it doesn't really know about how this data is fetched, when it's fetched. It's done in more declarative way. But what is the web application without routing? And that was quite hard. In one of the articles on web dev, they say that it's impossible without the new navigation API. But I made it even before the article was made. It's totally different. If you think about any new modern framework in the phrase that is released every week, you see that the community goes through the project, and usually it's a UI library, and then community creates this routing, other stuff. And if you compare all of the things that have those projects have, it's usually the same. So you've got URL, it matches to something that you should display on the screen, and that's it. Of course, you have nested routing, other stuff, but mainly it's just matching this, like you would create the backend framework, which just takes URL and puts HTML to the browser. So this time it's totally different. It's more like a native application, because it depends on the structure of views which are connected in the graph. It's acyclic graph, so we can say the tree-like structure of views, which depends on each other, and say from what view you can go to another one. And all of that is represented in the components as a stack of views. Main view, of course, is just one, but because of the stack and how it works, there are so great things that we can do with that. I will show you later if there will be time for that.
Part 2. In part 2, right?
Yeah, but it's when you'll be eating pizza. So that's the thing that we discussed with Piotr. So what about routing and what the features we have here? So it supports dialogues, which have dialogues which opens on the front of the views, which are closes in the right time. You can open, close, and for what is most important, the navigation history works. So wherever you go backward or forward, it works as expected. So don't worry, the user, you can use the back button. And protected views for logins, and everything works even without explicit URLs, because we are depending on the structure, not on URLs. We can create some funny things to make it work. But it's not the last thing. This year, on April, I made a localization system. I need a minute. That's the almost the last slide.
You have 2.
Yeah, thanks. And so localization. You may think at first that it's really, I don't need it. You know, you start the project, English is everywhere. You just create and it's okay. But it's not true. If you want to make a product that will succeed, you have to go worldwide. And the thing in all of the, I think, framework is that it's usually out of the box, out of the scope of the framework. They don't care about it. You have plenty of libraries that you can just integrate. But if you don't integrate at the beginning of the project, if you have 100 lines of code 2 years later, and you then want to localize it, it's going to be a hard problem. So it's built in the hybrids. It's also automatic translation. It means that you don't have to do anything with your components, anything with templates. You just add in different place your messages, and everything will be translated. But but it's not the everything. And August, so it was last month I put another thing in the library, which is the layout engine. It's kind of it looks like first let's call it like Wins CSS or something like that. Yeah, Tailwind. Sorry, it's utility first CSS frameworks. Yeah, that's the term that they say. It's something but better. So you will see it. And next, I will move on. That's some kind of numbers.
We're going to have to invite you back to give a longer presentation.
No, please
yeah.
no.
Yeah, we would like to invite him back for a longer presentation. This is
I would say
yes?
that then I will talk for hours, because it's 5 years of work. It's impossible to put in hours. So I thought it's better to put in 5 minutes.
Can you give us at least a part 2 next time? We would really be interested in hearing you
I can,
continue.
of course.
Because if we don't get out of here soon, what's going to happen is the pizza is going to be cold. They're all going to be mad at you, and it's going to be my fault in the end. So again, we're really thanking you. Do you have one more thing to say before we let you go?
Yes, I agree with Piotr. So whatever you want, you go to eat pizza. And without the cameras and everything else, if you want to stay, I will connect my computer and show you some demo. But
that's great. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So it's here. It's a project that I just created for this talk. You can see it if you don't want to stay, or you just.
They're gonna stay. They're gonna be here. Yeah, of course.
But it can take time.
Dominic, we have time for you. Really, just not right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dominic. Give him a hand, everybody. Quickly. Just before we bring Piotr back to the stage, I'd like to announce everyone that we have some workshops coming up on the 18th of September. And we have 2 fantastic trainers, Jarosław Kowalczyk and Krzysztof Łokaj. Yeah, it's my eyesight. Łokaj. These, if you want to register for these workshops, they're going to, you can go to WarsawJS.com. Is that correct? And this is happening soon, September 18th. So look us up and check out what we have to offer. What are the topics of what are they teaching? JavaScript for beginners. Okay, so that's me. That's basically what that means. Okay, are you ready? You got something to say? Yes. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, give a big hand to this man, Piotr Tarasich.
Hello, everyone. I have something that Luisa prepared for today, and that's absolutely amazing because it shows a summary of this year at WarsawJS. And actually, I realized that we are already 8 years here, and that's absolutely amazing. And I think that it costed us, our community, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're an absolutely amazing community. Thank you very much for that. And I want to give also special thanks to some of you, like, for example, of course, I mentioned already Louisa Haas, who prepared the short movie I'm going to show you. But besides, we have the absolutely amazing master of ceremonies. That's Barry Solon. So great, thank you. And there are also two co-organizers that hopefully watch us now, and I also wanted to show them our gratitude. So first of all, Luisa, first of all, Gabriela Czucha, who is organizing all the sponsorships, all the administration. So great, thank you. And also amazing thank you to you, Maciej Machniewski. I hope to, yes, our social media expert, he's doing all of this on our Facebook, our Instagram. He cannot be in person here, and actually I hope that there will be a technological solution for that Maciej will be in some way present here in the future. So, I will tell you more about this later. So, thank you very much, Maciej. Yes. So that's and I also would like to give special thanks to my wonderful wife and child who are here, and Leoś and Marta. Thank you very much. And sorry, I'm saying this. This is so personal, but after all, the only one reason that I'm still running WarsawJS because Marta gave me support in the very hard times I had. So yeah, that's the main reason actually. So thank you. All right, so I wanted to show you the short movie made by Louisa. Is it Luisa? Is there a way? Is there a way I can share the sound, or maybe you can play it? You can play it. Okay. Only 2 minutes. Yes. Video file actually. I don't know. Let's try again. But it goes from my side, the video. Yeah. Put the microphone next to it. No, it's going to suck. It'll be a loop, buddy. Pizza now. Actually, first things first. So pizza now, and after that, Dominik will speak the second part, and you will speak the second part, right? I mean the lightning talk, and one more lightning talk, maybe for optional. One more lightning talk. All right. So time for pizza, and after this lightning talks, we want to go to a showtime. At Koszykowa 55. So it starts actually at 10, so we still can make it. It's like 7 kilometers from here away, but yeah, there is an open mic and there is a person we also...
a person, the Blue
yes.
Mantic. The Blue Mantic. Can you go back to the Radio IT slide just for a moment?
Yeah.
The Blue Mantic is a friend of mine, and we also collaborate. Thank you. First of all, yeah, we'd love to see you there. What was the location again? What is it called? Koszykowa 55, because we want to celebrate and commemorate. This is 8 years of gathering such a group of people together. And whoever said it earlier was right. This is not an easy crowd. I mean, to either entertain or to keep interested. So you guys have been challenging and very, very kind. So after 8 years, and thank you so much. I've only had 3, and 3 years. However, I'm grateful. Blue Mantic is a friend of mine who works with me on the show, which is Radio IT, which I mentioned once before. Louisa is also a collaborator on that project. If you like really cool music while you're working on the computer all day, if you just like independent artists and you're looking for something really groovy that will help you with your workflow, please look us up. Check us out on Radio IT, Facebook, Spotify, you name it, you can find us. We really would appreciate your support. Right, Louisa? And time for pizza? Pizza time, everybody. Thank you very much.
Czy mnie słychać, słychać. Okay, so guys, there will be a lightning talk session part 2, and these lightning talks are not recorded, but they are with live coding, so it's going to be a different mode and less stressful. I hope, Dominic, you're going to make it. So the second part of Dominic Talks starts now.
Okay, thank you. I will try to make it short this time. And I end it before the 5 minutes, and then I will try to show you the demo. It will not be exactly live coding. I just prepared the project. I will show some code and how it works. So to finish this slide, Loud Engine, what it does, it's something that I thought that is missing. So if you go to design systems and look for in the internet for them, there's plenty of them actually in using web components. It's fine, it's great. But if you look through the components, you will miss the layout components, usually. I'm not saying that's always, but usually there are none of them. So there are buttons, accordions, I don't know, tabs, whatever else. But how to make them put in your view? So then you suddenly have to create your own CSS. In a web components ecosystem, it might be a little bit harder in terms that, for example, that we mentioned already, Tailwind CSS, it doesn't fit into the web components ecosystem because it does not support well Shadow DOM. Usually the CSS frameworks really rely on that you put your one build CSS file into the document, and then everything you put in the HTML is in light DOM. So whatever the classes we have, they apply. It doesn't work like that in Shadow DOM because it encapsulates CSS. So there was tries, even the users of hybrids that try to use Tailwind CSS or other stuff, they have to put all of the CSS suddenly inside of the Shadow DOM. So that's kind of the problem. And I thought that, okay, we can create UI components more in traditional way. So we can create CSS, whatever. You can use external UI components. And the web components are great because you don't care about the style encapsulation because they have that. But what about layout? So this is the system which allows you to, in the first utility system, creates the, the CSS without creating those properties. So that's the story. But still, it do something more than like Tailwind CSS, for example, because that are just a bunch of CSS classes. Here we have the compilation step. It's done just once in the template when it's compiled for the first time, but we've got like real functions and real arguments. So how we can see here, here maybe it's not the best example, but where you can put something that is compiled and then interpreted and put into the special class. So it's a little bit different. It's not the end of the story. I know that someone will say, okay, we will use hybrids, but where is the server-side rendering? We need it. Well, it's super hard thing to do, actually. In good way, but I will do it. And the next things on the to-do list is the runtime. It's something that will allow you to even simplify your code. So no explicit definitions, no explicit importing things, because it will just do it for you, but still using a client as a target. It also opens the door for templates pre-compilation, which you have, for example, in Solid, Svelte, whatever. Other stuff, which, for example, if you maybe look at the Quick, it's kind of the new thing from the Angular team member, and he created something that it like runs only the JavaScript which is needed. So I thought it's also possible with web components because of the declarative way how they work in the HTML. You can, for example, load only the components which are visible. So that's the next things. I think it's like Q1, Q2, 23. This is already I showed you, but I will maybe talk a little bit more. The whole package, all of the features which I told you. So the component model, state management system, routing and navigation, localization, and layout engine is only 18 kilobytes. So all of the stuff. So of course, there are UI libraries which weigh only 1 kilobyte. So why I'm telling you that? Because if you put everything else like routing, localization things, and template systems, live systems, and other stuff, they suddenly be much bigger than that. I really try to make it work well. So there is like a little bit less than 500 tests with 100% coverage of the code. And still I have bugs. So 100% coverage is not enough. And the third bullet is I think, proud of myself that it's used in the production already, and it's used by over 2 million end of users. And maybe even you on the stage, you on this place, you are using it because one of the main thing, and those 2 millions, of course, are from Ghostery extension. The guys from the team used it even before I joined the team. So it's not that it wasn't my decision. There are other projects I even find because the GitHub has this fancy feature that who is using this. And so this Tulip is a kind of system like ClickGo. Maybe someone from ClickGo is here. but not for everything. It's kind of the Jira thing, whatever. Vuecy is a platform which uses also that. Tencent is not as a big company, of course, but they use in some kind of library, like other stuff. So it's used. It has 70K of downloads monthly on npm, and also I think there are other people just using CDN, so we cannot count it. And yeah, that's the demo. I will try to connect, but I think I will try to be the last one. So if there's other people with lightning talks, I will give them the time, because I can do it really long. Because I have to switch to my computer, so if someone else wants to talk, anyone, don't fruit me. Okay, so I will do it. So play a music, please. I'll try to make it just, I think, bigger. It will be easier if you can see it. Okay. I think moving around breaks it. I'm not sure what should I do. The best way, just disconnect and connect. Yeah, but it may blink. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, which we'll try. I think that it's not. So yeah, I think this is why you have to pay for Apple switches. This is one original one. Okay, so I will try to really tell you this short. I used two things. I had to use some API. I found one public API for currencies. It's not perfect because how it works, but it has data. And to show you that the Shadow DOM and other stuff that's maybe scare you or it's not something good, there are articles that shame on that. It doesn't have to be used, actually. Because of the layout system and how the hybrids works, you can just skip if you don't create something that has to create as slots, so distribution of the DOM or styling. So whole application here are in a light DOM. Because of that, I just use the water CSS. It's just a CSS framework which you put and use H1, H2, P, and whatever. It just uses some basic styling to be more pleasant. So this is the definition of the application here. So how you can see, we are using this layout system. We are using a router which just points to one view. It's the first one, so it's a root of the tree. There's some basic stuff like heading, some credits, and of course we've got this stack here. So of course, what this application does, it lists all of the currencies which the API supports. You can use latest is the current day, I suppose, and you can change the date. So we can that doesn't change anything here because it's still a list of currencies. But if you click on one, you choose your base. So let's say we are in Poland. Here isn't Poland's zloty. Doesn't anything fancy here, but what you can see, for example, it doesn't change the URL, but still you can just go back and forward. You can even go into another view, which works like in native applications, so in stack, one on each other. One is moved out to the memory, of course, so if you would go into our developer tools, you see only one, of course. But if I go back, I'm going back to Poland zloty and where I was, of course. So if I go deeper, click here, so we're loading things, and going back, we are going back where we were. Other fancy stuff is like missing the keyboard support. I made it, I think, the best as it could be. So if you point and go, you move things around. Of course, we don't have now, I don't know how to create a back action, but if I go back, I'm moving back to the point where I was. So the user, so we're going down and up, wherever you were before. So the routing is not only just showing you the view, it's kind of other navigation system of the application. Other thing is that because we are keeping the state in different place, and I suppose that you may know where, we can do much more. So wherever we go back, whatever we put here, it is here. But what will happen when we refresh the page? It's still here. No, don't use cookies, please. No, it's a thing that was designed, I think, a few years ago. It's a history state. It's something that even it's kept even if you refresh the page because it's out of the browser's scope. But what happened in our application if we don't use URLs? If the user wants to open something in new tab, it still works. And it loads all of the application from the beginning. So your data has to be prepared that can be used in any kind of circumstances. And it's decoupled. I will show you how the model works. But what happened then, if you go back? I found, but I don't have now, examples when if you go back in some applications, you are going back to Google results. Because they thought that it's cool to use the back navigation in a history. But you cannot use it if this is the first view of your application, so like entry point. So routing knows that because he knows the routing, the navigation knows the current situation of the application, so knows where you are, where you come back, where you can go, where you not can go. So when you go back, we just replace the state because you can go back, but where you can go back? It's a place where yes, it's definition that you go from left to right in stack definition. So the common accessor is a known from the left or right. I didn't know, remember that. But yes, it's possible that one place, one view is accessible from different parents. So the first parent in the stack is used as a default. But if you have those, the dynamic thing that you go into this place, he will know where to go back because he will just jump into backward. So that's about navigation. I think the one last thing that I will show you, everything else you can just go to this repository, is state management. So we've got this currency here. And it works like it works. It has to fetch all of the currencies. There is no one currency endpoint in this API. But still, all of the definition is here. So if you go to the list, all of the stuff that list knows is that it's a store. It wants a list of model of currency and define where to find the ID for that. So that's the story. And what going next? It's a declarative system that defines the helper function, which allows you to see, okay, if this data is ready, or is pending, or it has error or something like this. But usually those systems are explicit and not taking each other. So it means that, for example, we have a list of currencies here, but the API will return error if you choose a date which doesn't exist yet. So let's say the last day of September, and it may work. But if you go, I think so. Or I lose the connection. Okay, so it didn't work as expected. The API didn't work, but the error is not shown here for a different reason. So that's the thing that I should show you here. But the model works in the way that if the data is fetched, it's used as a fallback. It means that if you want to change the data or fetch another page of view, but it doesn't work, it doesn't remove this data, but replace it in only when it's ready. So it creates a better user experience because you can show the data still and show the information that something went wrong. So you don't have to keep it somewhere. So that's the thing. If you have any questions, ask me after.
We have no time right now because we are out of here at 9:30. However, it's pretty incredible how interested these people are in what you have to say. And so congratulations for actually bringing them back and and offering something which is valuable and keeping their attention after pizza. So please stick around so they can ask you more questions. We have one more speaker coming. It's a lightning talk. It's going to be very short. Or do we have two? You're also speaking? Oh, we have two. Hold on. Whoa. We have two more speakers today. They're going to be brief speeches, and we thank you for your patience and time. Before we even get there, I want to take the time again, although I know we're not broadcasting live, to thank our sponsors, CallStack, Daft Code, Evolution, Fresha, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and XFang for making this possible. Listen, that's right. You always thank the sponsors. This is very, very important. Walker? Łokaj. Oh, this is you. Krzysztof Łokaj. Okay. And I wasn't prepared for this order, of course, but we really welcome you to the stage. And the name of your talk is? What is it?
About AST.
What? You have no voice?
Yeah, I think so. It should work.
Live coding. Uh-oh. I'm out. I'm out. Is he audible? Can we hear him?
1, 2, 3. Oh, amazing. Yes.
Welcome everybody once more. Krzysztof.
Let's start. I am going to talk today about AST. What is it and how it can help us? Who heard about AST? It could be better. Okay. AST is abstract syntax tree. So generally, it is our code interpretation in some metadata. So you not focus what exactly this code does, but how it looks like. So instead of saying, I am going to show. So for example, like simple code, which we have like some variables and so on, have some kind of tree representation. A bit looks like from developer tools for HTML or something different. As well, we have different tool like AST Explorer. So for example, I can see like simple React code, imports declaration, variables, and so on and so on. Okay, so it is theory. And I don't want to say about bullshits, which it's not worth it to learn and waste your time. So why I should learn AST? The question is, who use AST? So for example, Babel, if you would like to write compilers one day and lose your life for these interesting things, at least not for me, but if you are doing that, great job. I appreciate. But if you want to do linters, so for example, what are linters? Tools which analyze source code, yes? So for example, if you have two types of people, of users, you want to define in which way you want to write code in your company, yes? So differently saying, avoid writing code in unwanted way. So as I said, I want to go in real examples, and I'm going to write custom messaging rule in 1 minute. So we have real case example, two types of programmers, this who use jQuery, who are super happy, and this who pretends that they doesn't like jQuery. Okay, so live coding. I am going to fight with this code. As you see, there is big problem with this code. General, this problem looks like import React. What is React? At least not jQuery. So slint return nothing. I'm going to like connect my slint rule. Currently it's empty. And as I am copy and paste development, I will copy boilerplate which is used for slint rules. I am not going to go through that deeply. So you have some kind of description and so on. It doesn't matter. The most important is method create, which is interesting for us. And if we switch to documentation and click for this create method, in return, we can return selectors, which will look for especially syntax tree entity, which we are looking for. So in our case, we are going to look for import declaration. Import declaration, as you see, it's type import declaration, has source, and this source is looking like it's not jQuery. So that's the problem which we are going to fix. So I'm going to define selector. This is what I'm going to get. It will be node. Node has source. And if this value is React, we can do something with our code. Of course, if you're afraid of it, use console logs or just AST Explorer. When we are able to do it, we can report that this node is incorrect because, come on, it's use React. And give message, don't use React, use jQuery. If everything works, don't use React, use jQuery. So in that way, we make our development better. I know that Dominik already wants to contribute and make similar for hybrid. No worries. You are always welcome. So I wanted to like shortly show you what is AST and why it's cool. It's very cool exactly if you want to control developers to not make strange imports between different concerns which never should be connected, but they would like. And that's all. If you want to learn more, of course, I'm going to send this presentation, so links will be available. And if you prefer presentation, next month I am doing WarsawJS show AST in a bit different use case. I'm going to make refactor on many files. So I will try to show how to make 2 months of job like in 2 hours, not automate something which will take me 8 hours to do job which I can do in 1 minute per month. So that's all.
Now I have no sound. Also, this one's gone. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Krzysztof. It's a fantastic. We're going to hold the questions for next time. You're going to be here at our next WarsawJS meetup.
Sure.
Correct?
Yes.
Number 97?
97.
Fantastic. Look forward to that. We have one more speaker for you coming to the stage. Oh, there I am. Okay, so now that I have this microphone, hold on one second. Let me just see. Does anyone have any questions about that previous presentation quickly that you want to ask? Because this is the time to ask them. Okay, let's move on. Are you ready, sir? Is that you want to answer that? Are you ready, sir? Please.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is George. I'm from Ukraine, and it will be a fast one. Yeah, thank you. So, who here is actual developer? Please raise your hand. Okay. Who is working with React? Okay. Who is using React app? Okay. Who is like it? Anyone? Okay. We are on the same page. It sucks really. But who know about Next.js? Okay. Did you ever imagine to use Next.js as boilerplate just for everything? Not if you don't need to use server-side rendering, you can like don't use it at all. But Next.js from the box have awesome boilerplate. It works with hot model replacement. It have everything included for minimalizing, for lazy loading, and basically you just like using Next.js for structure your components, using everywhere in every project in React. If you don't need any Node.js server-side rendering, you just don't use it. So why people are continuing to use Create React App if it sucks really? I'm coming like from project to project, and then and every time I'm seeing like, whoa, I need something especially new or some edge case, and I need to extract React App. Why? Why people can't see other alternatives to it or to come up with something new? Because how many boilerplates do you know with React that's actually good? Yeah, I know if you have been working with React App, you have installing Redux, for example, and Redux it's not working with hot model replacement from the box. And if you're working with Next.js, it has wrappers for Redux, and it's actually work with hot model replacement from the box. You don't need to do anything at all. Just use Next.js for everything. If you don't need server-side rendering, don't use it, but the structure, everything else is included. Why? Yeah, another jQuery like framework. Okay, that's all what I wanted to talk with you, because like use it. That's all. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for that. What is your name again? George. I appreciated that speech. It goes like this, folks. The speaker speaks, and then you ask questions. There will be no heckling from the audience, okay? Is that clear? Because this is the type of crowd, hold on, they're gonna have some questions for you. This is the type of crowd that, everyone knows a little something, and everyone has a little something to say. So we appreciate your questions, and feedback is welcome as well. Go ahead.
Not really a question, an opinion rather. Next.js is the bee's knees.
That's your opinion? That's your question? Yep. Thanks a lot. Anyone else? One says, one person's bee's knees is another person's whatever. Does anyone have a real question for this gentleman about why he prefers Next.js as opposed to Next.js as opposed to React Next? Yeah. No more questions? All right. So listen, folks. Thank you very much for your speech. It was really incredible. Krzysztof Wuchak will be back next time. Thank you. I have to make some announcements now. Okay, so we will meet again, of course, on the 12th of October, and that'll be WarsawJS Meetup number 97. And you know what that means. I'm really looking forward to this 100th one. And at that meetup, Krzysztof Łokaj will speak one more time. We're looking forward to that next presentation on large-scale refactoring. And also Łukasz Borowski will speak about let's disenchant NPM packages. Let's disenchant NPM packages. And there will be other speakers to be announced. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This is the 8th anniversary of WarsawJS. Unbelievable. We are planning that after party. And again, we want to remind you, this will be at Kościołowa 55, because the address is not on the slide. Thank you for having a great memory. Kościołowa 55, my friend the Blue Mantic is having an open mic, and he's a great performer. If you don't know who the Blue Mantic is, do yourselves a favor, come and join us there. It may even buy you a drink. And it starts at 22, which means we'll have about a half an hour to get there. If Mr. Gintara has nothing else to add, or nothing else from our organizational team, we want to thank you very, very much for your participation this week. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the 12th of October. Everybody all right? Sorry, wait. Is everybody all right? That's what we love to hear. Thank you, everybody, very much. See you next time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We just met recently. I feel like I've known you for a very long time. Tell us a little bit something about how and when you came to Warsaw.
I started coming